Hi, everyone. My name is Autumn Green, the founder of My Stewardship Journey, and today we're going to reframe the way that you think about money. As a financial coach and educator, the work I do is centered around this key idea. 75% of Americans claim to budget on a regular basis, but 78% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck. And this shows us there is this gap between what we say we're doing with our money and what we're actually doing. In this training, I'm going to share with you three invisible forces that are keeping you broke with the hope that you can close the gap between knowledge and action when it comes to your money. Let's start with invisible force number one. You're overconfident in your memory. Let's start with a little thought experiment, but I need your participation. You ready? Imagine that I just gave you a way to win $10 million, no strings attached. You have to follow a very specific set of directions in order to access the money. I'm going to give you the directions that include the location, directions on arrival, and the password. Are you ready? Okay, you must go to 1321 East Chestnut Lane, knock on the door 3 times. The password is stewardship. Did you get the directions? If so, how did you do it? Did you take notes? Did you play it a few times? What was your strategy? Now, if this was real and you could only hear that information once, would you rely on your memory alone? I bet you'd be focused, laser focused on the details because the reward is massive. Now, here's my question. Why are we not treating the money that we already have with the same level of attention and detail? If we were as intentional with the money that we have now, with the new money that we're expecting to receive, imagine how much further we could be with our financial goals. Think about it. How many times have you said, "Oh, I'll check my budget later," or "I know how much I spend this month," to only look back at how much you spent and notice that you were way off? Yet with our finances, we'll assume we'll just remember to manage, to budget, to plan, to track. You have to write your way to financial manifestation. Plus, writing has its benefits. Writing reduces stress. I had a client of mine who thought she needed 3 times the actual amount that she needed for a full emergency fund. And what a relief it was for her to visualize those numbers on the page to realize that she was a lot closer than she thought she was. Writing improves your memory. I don't know about y'all, but I grew up in the times where if we were talking too much in class, the teacher would make us write, "I will not talk," or "I will stop talking" 20 to 50 times. For many of us, especially me, that was definitely solidified in my memory. But additionally, when you write, you create a photographic memory as you're writing. You can envision in your mind what you wrote. Writing also supports creativity. Whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, our brain capacity is limited, y'all. So many of us are operating on lower levels of thinking, memory. But if you freed up your brain capacity to focus less on memorization, write those things out so that you could memorize naturally through the art of writing, imagine how much more capacity you now have in your brain to create, to analyze, to strategize. I had a client of mine who wanted to go to grad school, and all she could remember was $20,000. That's how much I need to go to grad school. It wasn't until we started writing out all the ideas and thoughts that she had in her head that she came to the realization, oh, wow, my job offers tuition assistance. So much so that if I stay at this company for a certain period of time, I can go to school for free. It wasn't until she got out of her head, wrote everything out on paper, that that idea came to her memory. Writing has its benefits. Invisible force number one, you're overconfident in your memory. Creating a written financial plan helps keep you on track with what is important to you. Invisible force number two, you're reactive instead of proactive. When you think of people who are financially successful, what kind of words come to mind to describe these people? Oftentimes I hear financially successful people are smart. They're earning a lot of money. They are good at math. These are the types of things that I hear. But what if I told you that financial success had less to do with what you earn and more to do with your level of preparation? Because here's the reality. 49% of Americans earning over 6 figures are still living paycheck to paycheck, which shows that earnings is for show. What you keep is what will grow. Now, I'm not saying if you earn more, that's not beneficial. Of course, more money is beneficial, but what's more important is what you do with that money. So I am here to tell you that proactive takers are money makers. Say that with me. Proactive takers are money makers. One of the biggest financial misconceptions I hear is, oh, I can't plan with what I don't have. Sound familiar? A lot of people think that they need to wait until they reach a certain level of income to start saving or to start investing. Planning isn't about what you have today. It's about positioning yourself for what's coming. Because here's the reality. By the time you wait till you get the money to start planning, your planning time is now competing with other priorities, i.e. spending the money. You're now trying to figure out, okay, I got to spend this money because things are due. I don't really have time to plan. And of course, we then turn into, oh, I didn't have time to plan. And that becomes the excuse for why we weren't proactive in the first place. I know I'm talking to somebody. I've been there myself. Imagine that you're about to go grocery shopping. You know you need food, but you didn't write a plan down for what you needed. You walk into the grocery store hungry, and suddenly everything looks good. And next thing you know, your cart is full of things you think you need, but you get home and you realize that you actually forgot something that you really needed. That's what happens when you don't plan with your money. You walk into the month spending as you go, hoping you'll have enough at the end of the month. But this is not financial strategy. We've got to get out of reactive mode and get into proactive mode. Before your next paycheck, write down exactly where your money is going, down to the dollar. That way, you're making financial decisions proactively instead of reactively. For my sports fans, think about it like a basketball team saying, oh, we can't create an offensive plan until we actually have a real game. Said what professional team ever, right? If they're not in a real game, what are they doing behind the scenes? They're creating practice games, scrimmages. They plan, they strategize. So when the game time comes, AKA when your paycheck hits, they can run the play. You're reactive instead of proactive. Let's get proactive. Let's share some characteristics from our freebie, our spending plan freebie, that can help you understand what needs to be true of an effective spending plan so that it is proactive in nature. I'm going to walk you through these characteristics of our Stewart spending plan. Yes, that is an acronym that stands for the characteristics. S stands for specific. You know exactly where your money is going, when, and the dollar amount. T is for timely. We know exactly when expenses are due, whether we're allocating that money on payday or whether there is a specific due date. And due dates are really important to visualize because if you have due dates all around the same time, I know a lot of us on our paycheck, if we're getting paid twice within the month and we have multiple expenses all due on the same paycheck, that paycheck can feel very tight. And now we're scrambling until the next paycheck to make ends meet. Visualizing when things are due can help you strategically spread your expenses so that you have more wiggle room in between for variable expenses like groceries or gas. E, easy to access. This is not at your auntie's house or under your bed collecting dust somewhere. This is a plan that is easy to access for you to have on the go to help you make informed financial decisions. Whole thing, everything. And yes, I said everything. What I mean by that is that every dollar needs to have a job. If you don't tell your money where to go, you'll wonder where it went. Aligned. Your spending plan needs to be aligned with what is important to you. What are you aiming for? What are your goals? Right? Some of us want to save more, but our budget doesn't reflect that. Some of us want to start investing, but our budget doesn't reflect that. Our spending plan doesn't reflect that. I often hear people say, well, I want to save more. Well, how much more do you want to save? This plan helps you visualize that proactively. R, my favorite, ranked. Your budget should be organized in a way where your expenses are from most important to least important. This helps you get proactive so that when life starts lifing, right? Because life is going life. People who are financially successful are not exempt from life's challenges financially, but they're proactive in the sense that they're prepared for when life's challenges arise. If you order your expenses by importance, when life starts lifing, you've already done the thinking around what we need to cut beforehand, setting you up for success ultimately. documented and not stored at your auntie's house or stored in your brain. It is documented and written in a format because we already talked about the power of writing. If you don't plan where your money goes, it will go wherever the wind takes it. By the time you get paid, 10 different spending ideas will be pulling at you, and you won't have a reference point. People who plan before they have the money are the ones who attract it. They make clear financial decisions because they already know where their money is going. Number 3, your financial goals are really just ideas. I want to save more. I want to pay off my debt. People think I'm being dramatic when I respond, okay, you want to save more? Okay, how does $2 sound by the end of the year? And of course, they respond to me, Autumn, of course, I want to save more than $2. You know exactly what I meant. No, I actually don't know exactly what you meant. I'm sure you intended to save more than $2, but how much more are we talking? Let's be specific, because the universe will give you exactly what you asked for. And if you're not specific, be prepared to get anything. Stop over-relying on your memory and write out exactly what you want. I want to save more. I want to pay off my debt. These are financial ideas, not goals. If I asked you where you wanted to travel this year and you just said, I want to travel more, would that be enough to actually book a flight and make it to your destination? You need to know where you're going, how long, and how much it'll cost. Money works the same way. Saying I want to save more without specifics is like saying I want to take a trip without a destination. When you are creating your financial goals, they should answer 2 questions: how many and by when. For example, instead of saying I want to save more, I will save $5,000 by the end of the year for down payment on my home. That is way more specific in terms of what that money is for and how much it is. Now you even have a clearer target and a plan of action for how to get there. Think about it. If I set this goal in January to save $5,000 by the end of the year, let's say I get paid twice every month, that means 24 paychecks within the year, $5,000 is the goal. 5,000 divided by 24 is about $208 per paycheck. I now have to save $208 per paycheck to be on track with that goal. When your goals are clear, your plan of action is even clearer. If you don't set specific, meaningful, and realistic financial goals, don't be surprised if you save $5 in a year. Technically, that is saving more, but it's probably not what you meant. Start treating your money with the same attention you give it if I handed you $10 million with no strings attached. Write things down. Stop being overly confident in your memory. Plan now, not later. Even if you have $10 in your account, plan for the $10,000 that's coming. Set clear, meaningful, specific financial goals, just like you would with your travel plans. How many, by when? Money isn't just about numbers. It's about your mindset. The better you plan, the better position you are to make the most out of every dollar. Let's make your money work for you instead of wondering where it all went. So again, I'm back just to give you a visual and walkthrough of the Stewart spending plan so that you can see how it works and get your eyes on it before you start using it yourself. And so you'll see at the top of the spreadsheet, there are directions for you. And you'll see at the bottom, there are actually 2 separate tabs. One is a monthly spending plan. The other one is a bi-weekly, depending on how often you get paid. I'd recommend using the monthly spending plan first if you get paid twice in the month, and then transferring it to the bi-weekly because it just is for ease of use. And then if you get paid once a month, obviously use the monthly to start. So you would essentially put in your take-home pay for the month. So let's say you're taking home $4,000, and you can see the specificity here, right? The first aspect of the Stewart spending plan is specific. You can see the name of the expense and when it is allocated and the amount. And what's really cool about this thing is if you put in your specific amounts, and I'm just literally typing in random numbers here, y'all. But if you type in your specific amounts, you'll start to see that at the bottom, there is a sum that adds up all these numbers for you. also with the remaining balance showing you what you have left to allocate. I recommend that you definitely allocate every dollar to a category, even if that category is miscellaneous. I know some of us like to have a buffer. That's okay on payday if you want to keep a buffer or miscellaneous, however you want to call it. Checking account buffer. And let's say you want to keep $100 in there just in case, right? Give everything a job. Imagine $450 for rent. That would be nice. But let's be more realistic with that number. Let's say 1,500. Some of us are paying 450. But let's just say 1,500 for now. 400, 200, 200. And notice as I'm putting in these numbers, the balance is going down. The remaining balance is going down. And then I'll just say this is the remaining balance. Let's assume that these are the expenses that you have. But notice how these are expenses for all things, not just your bills, but these are all things. Include the yearly memberships that come around, right? Let's say you do have a Costco membership and it is due every year. Proactive takers are money makers. Don't wait till it's due to start figuring out how you're going to pay for it. Start saving for it in advance. And so you just take whatever that yearly amount is and the number of paychecks that you have until it's due. So let's say it's actually $120 for the Costco membership and you've got 12 paychecks until it's due. You know you need to save $10 a month towards it. Obviously, that's going to throw our balance off here. So I'll just adjust this for example purposes, but make sure you include everything, right? Nails, hair, entertainment. Be realistic with yourself in terms of the expenses that you should put in your plan. And I'll also tell you, there is a gap between your perspective and your reality. And so don't rely on your memory, right? Don't overthink and rely on your memory. Definitely fill this out to the best of your ability from memory, but then also go into your transactions and look at like a high spending month and really compare what you wrote down from memory to what you actually spend across your different accounts. Once you have it written in the monthly format, what's really cool about this, notice how in the pink it auto populates. So you don't have to re paste it again. You can copy and paste these values. If you're a bi-weekly person, copy and paste these values into the bi-weekly plan. Directions are still the same. You just see two checks here, and then it adds each line item into the total sum for the month for you to still see that monthly view. So what's really nice about this, you could just paste it and notice how the names automatically get copied over to the second check. You just have to put in the amounts for what the second check will be. And the reason why is because some expenses you don't have to pay for every check, right? Think about your water bill. Let's say you get paid on the 1st and the 15th of the month. Let's say that this is 2,000 and 2,000 to give you a sum of 4,000. You get to spread things out, right? Because you'll see you're at a negative 2,000 here. So you have to move things around. How about we split this rent, right? Or housing expense. Split it. That helps a ton. Your water bill is due on the 5th, so that would make sense. The electric and gas bill is not due until the 16th. So we don't need to pay that on the first check. We can move that over to the second check. Similarly, the cable and Wi-Fi, that's $150 is due on the 16th. Why are we paying for it on the 1st? Move that over. right? And so continue to move and shift things around so that at the end, your remaining balance is 0 across both checks, and you'll be able to see your monthly view for the sum of everything. I really hope that's helpful for you. And again, keep taking action. Proactive takers are money makers. I'm excited for what's to come for you as you utilize this plan. You got this. I'm rooting for you. Peace.